Applying Plickers and YouTube within the Elementary Art Studio by Nikki Stone. The rationale. The Elementary Art Studio is a magical place. Students come in eager to paint, draw, and use clay. As a teacher, I'm also excited to get to these projects. However, I have to include formative assessment, summative assessments, establish routines, ensure national standards are met, and give time for setup, instruction, cleanup, visible thinking, and exit tickets, all within one 45-minute period once a week. In order to meet all of the objectives in such a limited amount of time, I've worked to create efficient methods to streamline some of my processes to ensure that students still have time to do the most important objective, make art. Testing and visible thinking routines have to be reduced to 15 minutes instead of 45. Instruction and cleanup routines had to be reduced to 8 minutes or less. Students had to include multiple standards in order to maximize learning. In order to meet these efficiency goals, I implemented 2 tools into my teaching repertoire. First is Plickers for assessment, polls, feedback, exit tickets, and surveys, and the second is YouTube for classroom demonstrations and classroom videos in order to transition into a flipped classroom. The first lesson is for Plickers. I use this for assessments, exit polls, or exit tickets, polls, and feedback. For the lesson description, students use Plickers instead of traditional testing in order to complete formative assessments, summative assessment, exit tickets, and informal feedback and polls. These assessments will be created for each grade level and shared across the district in the same fashion as our previous pre- and post assessments for each school year. The scoring is done instantly with the Plickers scorecards and recorded in bar charts and graphs that can later be exported into an Excel file in order to compare scores at a later date. These scores can be compared between the fall and spring scores and also compared year over year to ensure continuous improvement. Plickers requirements. Technology. Plickers requires a mobile device with the Plickers app in order to scan the student data. It also requires a computer and a projector to display the questions. Teachers need to create a free ID within the Plickers website and application before setting up and using the application. They also need to print a set of cards or purchase a set of pre-printed cards. They can be laminated. However, glossy lamination is not recommended because the glare from overhead lights can interfere with the readings by the mobile device. Teacher skills. Subject matter. The teacher has to know the subject matter if they are writing the test. They also need to understand how the application works in order to add questions to the question bank and to move those questions from the bank into the particular class. The app is simple to use when it comes to scanning, and the website offers tutorials for how to use all of the functions within the website and the mobile app. In terms of student skills, students need to understand how to hold the cards. They need to select the answer that they want to the question, A, B, C, or D, and hold that letter that matches their answer so that it points to the ceiling. With some of the lower level elementary students, it takes some practice. However, I've been using this with first grade through 5th grade students successfully for the past year. Sometimes it just requires a little bit of extra explanation for the lower elementary level students. What do the students do? Students are asked to read a question and select a multiple choice answer. They select the letter that matches their answer on the card and hold that letter towards the ceiling. You can see here I have a sample of one of the cards. It looks like a QR code, and that is the code that the mobile device scans by the teacher. In this case, the letter B is pointing to the top of the ceiling, or to the top, so that would be their answer. The teacher scans the cards for the students, and the students can see in real time if their card number has been scanned. This is card number 1. We can see the number 1 here. And we have A, B, C, and D. And if the student wishes to change his or her answer, the card simply needs to be rescanned by the teacher, and that will be recorded. The new answer will be recorded in real time. Step by step. The teacher needs to establish what needs to be assessed or captured in poll data, exit tickets, etc., and then write the test or the questions. The first time, they'll need to create an account. They'll set up classes if there are multiple sections, add students, and the associated card numbers. That makes sure that the students have their data recorded to their student profile by using the same card every time. Then they will upload the test information, associated graphics, and answers into the question bank, and then move those questions from the bank into the class files. When it's time to do the assessing, and we'll turn on the projector, switch the Plickers website into live mode, and the students will be able to see the questions and the multiple choice answers. Students select their answer to each question, hold up their card, the teacher scans the cards, and the students ensure that their card is scanned. The teacher can also show the results of the data, or they can keep the answers anonymous, and then the teacher will move on to the next question. These answers are all stored in real time, so there's no need to save. When it's done, you simply close the app and the browser. Pros and cons to Plickr. The pros: time management. The biggest advantage of this project is time management. It saves time proctoring and scoring assessments. I have 400 students, sometimes more each year, and we use a rubric, so it takes a very long time to proctor our old pre and post tests. This way we can quickly score them as we proctor the tests themselves. All of the data is stored as the testing is done, and we can simply print off the data as the students finish each class exam. The data can also be delivered electronically so that it can be analyzed between fall and spring to ensure student growth, and also year over year in the same subject. It's really easy to use. Once it's set up, it's easy to manipulate and update as needed. There are tutorials on the website that help, and there are frequently asked questions sections that also answer a lot of common issues that occur with both the website and the mobile app. The cons: setting everything up initially is very time consuming. Uploading class lists, test questions, answers, images all takes a lot of time. But once you get that initial time investment done and everything is entered into the system year after year, the same materials can typically be used over and over again, with the exception of class lists. Effective instructional strategies. The first and biggest thing that I notice in terms of instructional strategies is that there's a reduction in test-taking anxiety. Because this is an alternative method of test-taking, many students find Plickers to be less stressful and even sometimes fun, especially when it comes to things like exit tickets and polls versus summative and formative assessments. They enjoy the movement involved with holding up their card and the idea that they have a voice, even though it's giving the teachers the same results as traditional test-taking methods. Instant feedback. Because the data is scored in real time, teachers are able to quickly identify any gaps in learning that may need to be refreshed before moving on to the next section. This happens frequently in the regular classrooms with unit study quizzes, but also in the art room. Transferable innovations with Plickers. Grade level sharing. At the elementary level, the assessments and question banks that are set up can't be shared between accounts yet. However, we set up mirror question banks and we all test on the same materials. There is enough flexibility that each teacher can create their own custom polls and exit tickets based on their own individual needs. Instant feedback. The upper elementary teachers use Plickers in their classroom for their unit study quizzes, and it saves them time and gives instant feedback regarding student understanding in the subject at hand, so the teacher knows whether that student or class is ready to move on or if they need to stop and review any materials before moving on. Universal methods. The fact that the teachers are using the same testing methods across the board between the regular classrooms and the specialist classrooms allows students to become more comfortable with the methodology of using Plickers, and it reduces instruction time over the long term. We're able to quickly distribute the cards, complete the assignment, review the data, and move on in the appropriate direction. The second lesson was YouTube. using YouTube to flip the classroom for project demonstrations and classroom videos. My classroom is more of a hybrid flipped classroom because we still do in-class demonstrations and they are recorded to be used at a later date by students who may have missed the class or may need extra instruction time. So for the lesson plan description, it says, as part of student lecture on new artists, techniques, and projects, I often stop to give a hands-on demonstration for the students so they can see how my hands and tools are working to achieve the results that we're trying to achieve. For instance, in kindergarten, we make ceramic pinch pots. I show them how to take the lump of clay, roll it in a ball, stick their thumb into it, and pinch the sides to make a bowl shape. Last year, I started recording these demonstrations for students to view at a later date. It was especially helpful for two groups of students. Students with an IEP, 504 plan, or those who just needed extra instruction, and two, those who were absent and missed the initial demonstration. Because we only meet once a week, if a student is absent one day, they might miss a whole instruction day and show up on the second work day. It's also helpful for me because we're able to watch the video off YouTube before coming into class, which frees me up to ensure that the rest of the class is ready to get working. I can hand off an iPad to a student, they can watch the video while I get the rest of the class moving, and then I can check back in with that student to ensure that they understand how to get started. It's also very helpful because parents can view the demonstrations and see what we're working on in class so they can check in with their students to continue learning or to ask questions about what they're doing in school. Sometimes they even do similar projects at home. The requirements require a digital camera, whether that's an iPad, tablet, mobile device, anything with a camera, tripod, and then optional editing software, a YouTube account, and then USB or iPad cable or internet to upload the video from the device to the YouTube account. The teacher needs to understand how to record the video, and if you're using editing software, how to edit the video. Sometimes using a time-lapse software helps make demonstrations more efficient, where you can quickly show a process by making the video go much quicker. And the ability to share links with students via the website, email, or a subscription service on YouTube. Students must have access to a device, whether it's in class, on a tablet, or at home, and they have to understand how to watch a YouTube video. Press pause, play, and rewind it if they need to review it. Students watch the videos in class. They can play, pause, and replay the video as many times as they need to in order to understand the process or technique being demonstrated. Like I said, the teacher simply records the demonstration in class and then uploads that video as .mov, MP4, .avi, or .wmv to the YouTube account, and then students can access that video from the YouTube account. They can access this video in class, they can access this at home during the week between class sessions, or they can access it from the library or anywhere really. In terms of pros, self-paced learning, students can play, pause, and replay the demonstration in class and at home as many times as they need to. They can learn at home, and they can share the learning with their friends and family. The cons are access. Students need internet access and a device in order to get to YouTube. Sometimes there are parental controls where parents at the elementary level don't always let their students access YouTube. So I make sure that I include some information in newsletters and on my website about my channel so that parents can check out my videos and are aware that they can view my materials at any time. And lastly, time. It takes time to get going and to record each of these videos. I sort of record as I go in order to make the process as authentic as possible because I'm recording actual demonstrations in the classroom. These effective instructional strategies include student-led learning, self-paced learning, the flipped classroom, and this hybrid instructional approach that combines in-class learning with technology and support. Here's a sample video of one of my instructional videos here where I have taken a project, recorded the demonstration, and these students can check that out.